Am I the asshole for exposing the true paternity of my friend's son at her family gathering? This sounds so bad, I know, and I am mortified, but I have no idea what I was doing. I, 40 female, was invited to stop by and see one of my dearest friends from childhood at her mother's home yesterday evening. She lives overseas and hadn't been in the States for years, so she wanted me to stop by even though they had other family visiting her mother as well. When I got there, my friend introduced me to a couple of her cousins and their husbands. At that point, all the kids were downstairs in the playroom, but she called her son to come up so I could meet him. Her son came and shook my hand, and I remarked how handsome he was. He has deep dimples and gorgeous hazel eyes with long lashes. Right behind him was a girl about the same age with the same eyes and dimpled. I said to my friend, "Oh, I didn't know you had a daughter too. You two look like twins." The room was suddenly quiet. My friend's son corrected me and said the girl is his cousin, not his sister. My friend was shooting daggers at me with her eyes as if I said something terrible, and her cousin, who I later find out was the mother of the girl, got up and left the room looking upset. Only this afternoon, when my friend's younger sister called, did I find out why. So apparently my friend had an affair with her cousin's husband. So apparently my friend had an affair with her cousin's husband when she lived with them briefly, and her son is a product of that affair. From what I was just told, she won't admit it, but everyone has suspected it because the older her son gets, the more he looks like the man. I honestly didn't notice the resemblance last night because the husband had just given me a quick wave from the far side of the room where he was watching a game. The reason the cousin, his wife, got upset and left the room is because she suspected something for years, but everyone has worked hard at convincing her she's paranoid and seeing a resemblance that's not there. So, I'm the asshole in the scenario now and ruin everyone's Christmas, or at least that's how it seems because my friend won't even return my calls or texts. No, I would hate to be in that cousin situation. Like, you're getting gaslit from everyone in your family. That is not true family. Like, you made a mistake, these people have to own up to it, but instead they're just hiding it under the carpet, so definitely not the asshole. Am I wrong for wanting to tell my aunt that her husband is my dad? If you've read the title, then you can probably understand why my head is spinning so much right now. I, 19 female, am the product of my mom, 40 female, sleeping with her best friend's Eve, 39 female, boyfriend turned husband Adam, 40 male. According to my mom, it only happened once, and they immediately regretted the act the next day when they were sober. They swore to never speak of this and continue living as if it never happened because they didn't want Eve to walk away from them. That's freaking selfish. Around the time that my mom got pregnant with me, the flu was going around, so when she first started feeling the symptoms of pregnancies, she assumed it was the flu. However, when the symptoms lasted for weeks, my Aunt Eve convinced her to go see a doctor and was with my mom when the doctors told her she was pregnant. Apparently, she was too far along to do anything else but have me, and Uncle Adam was upset when my mom changed her mind about adoption. It got to a point where Aunt Eve threatened to break up with him if Uncle Adam didn't stop telling my mom that she'd be a horrible mother. My mom had no family support, so Aunt Eve and her family were there for me and my mom a lot. Hence why I call her Aunt Eve, and she's even my godmother. I was a flower girl at Aunt Eve and Uncle Adam's wedding. I love my Aunt Eve very much and consider her a second mother. I was devastated when I found out the truth my mom privately confessed to me while she was drunk and didn't remember it the next morning. My mom tried to play it off, but I secretly took some of Uncle Adam's DNA and sent it in for testing. I angrily confronted my mom and told her what I did when she tried to deny it. Later on, Uncle Adam and my mom sat me down and apologized for what they've done, but since he was around as my uncle growing up, there was no real harm done and asked me to keep it a secret. When I showed hesitation, my mom brought up how awful Aunt Eve would feel, not only at her best friend's and husband's betrayal, but that she was able to give him the bio child Aunt Eve couldn't. My Aunt Eve survived cancer, but at the cost of her own fertility and struggled with therapy for years over it. I didn't want to hurt Aunt Eve, so I tearfully agreed. I've been holding on to this secret since Thanksgiving, and with Christmas rolling around, I know Aunt Eve is expecting me. My mom understands that this is a lot for me and will cover for me if I decide not to see or speak to Aunt Eve for a while, but honestly, I don't know if I'll ever be able to see her again. I don't know how I can spend the rest of our lives being around her and not eventually saying something. My mom said that it's a bad idea and that there's nothing positive to gain. She said that Uncle Adam has never had an interest in being my dad, so why would he be one to me if I reveal the secret and cause problems in his marriage? And that while Aunt Eve may still love me, there's no guarantee that she'll still want to be around me. I don't know what to do, so am I the asshole for wanting to tell?
When I was a teenager, my new friend invited me to her family's house for a barbecue, for lunch. And when I got there, there's no good way to lead up to this. I was sitting outside at their little picnic table spot, and I was eating, and they had this cute cat that came up to cuddle with me or whatever, let me pet it, and I pet it for a little bit, and then I started eating my food, and it went around to my legs, and it peed on them. It was a boy cat, and he just sprayed all over my legs, but nobody noticed, and he just did it to me, I guess, and then he walked away, and it was a new friend, and I was for some reason scared. I didn't want to embarrass her mother. Like, I didn't want to upset the hostess by being like, hey, your cat peed on me, can I go rinse my legs off in your shower or something. That's what I should have done. But I just spent the rest of the day, because it was lunchtime, remember? And I spent the rest of the day with cat pee on my legs. And they still invited me back, even though I smelled like cat pee.
Am I the asshole for not thinking the joke my family played on my girlfriend was a big deal? I, 25 male, have a girlfriend, 23 female, who is absolutely beautiful, but she does have a large facial scar. My family often jokes about it. They have a super dark sense of humor. It bothers my girlfriend, and she says it doesn't feel like a joke. It feels like she's being insulted under the pretense of it being dark humor. Even though I explain it's just how they are and they don't mean any harm, she doesn't really want to be around them. I told her it was really important to me we spend Christmas with my family. We would all quarantine first and test, and it was important to me. She resisted at first, but after some urging from me, she gave in. She said I absolutely could not excuse their behavior if they made a rude comment about her, though. We got there, and it was fine for a while. Then my mom and my sister broke out their matching ugly sweaters that had my girlfriend's face all over it. They both laughed, saying my mom made them screen printed, and it was just a joke. My dad thought it was hilarious. I even chuckled a little because she's really beautiful, so it was ironic they put her on an ugly sweater. My girlfriend looked at me, and when I said they were just being ironic, she shook her head, got up and left. Didn't say anything to anyone, just took her car and left. The whole time my mom is upset because it was just a joke and she didn't realize my girlfriend was going to overreact like this. I told her that a warning would have been nice, but my sister agreed it was just a joke and my girlfriend was being a baby about it. I had another fight with my girlfriend when I finally got home, and she said I was an asshole for putting her in that situation. She said I let them treat her badly and was trying to make it her fault when it was my family who was acting badly. I said it was just a joke and that she was overreacting. She asked how it was supposed to be a joke. I said that was just their sense of humor. I said I was sorry she was offended by the joke, but she ruined the whole day with her reaction. She said that no, them realizing she wasn't going to take their bullshit anymore ruined the day. We aren't speaking currently. I don't really think I've done anything, though. I didn't know they were going to do that, and really, it was just a joke, and I think she's overreacting. Am I really the asshole here?
He's like, it's ironic. She's beautiful. What if she doesn't think she's beautiful, right?
Am I the asshole for calling my brother a sore, slow loser? My wife Irene is very fit and likes to work out and has a proper exercise regimen. She believes that if she feels good, she looks good, and she feels good working out, so who am I to stop her? My brother Will spent the latter half of last year going through a messy divorce and now needs a place to stay. We're not close, but I figured he'd stay with us for a couple weeks. Will is a typical gym rat and always on a very strict diet, always working out and bragging about his gains. I've worked out with him a few times and he's a little obnoxious. Always mad at you if you don't work at his pace and always trying to correct your form. He's pretty fit and muscular, but I don't like to exercise with him. Am I the asshole for calling my brother a sore, slow loser? Will has been pushing Irene to work out with him because according to him, she won't be able to keep up with him. She mostly shrugs him off and laughs and says she would love to work out with him. She works out in the mornings 3 times a week and then does a run in the evening, but she's been busy this past week and hasn't been able to stick to her schedule. Will thinks she's making excuses because she doesn't want to be embarrassed by him. Again, she laughs him off. Well, 2 days ago, they went on an early morning run. The first thing I heard when Will entered the house was the only reason I couldn't keep up with you is because you were sweating so much. I thought it was comical and laughed him off, and Irene rolled her eyes and took a shower. I thought that was the end of it. Am I the asshole for calling my brother a sore loser? I thought the conversation was over, but Will just kept bringing up my wife's sweat. My wife went to work and he told her to make sure she doesn't sweat through her clothes, or when she called me in the middle of the day, he yelled, "Tell the sweaty B word I said hi." Of course, the comment aggravated me and I told him to knock it off and stop acting like a child. I thought that was the end of it, but he just kept going. By the end of the day, Irene seemed unfazed, but I was tired of his comments. He made a comment at dinner about my wife sweating into the food, and I told him to stop acting like a sore, slow loser. He said he was only going slower because he was distracted by my wife's unhygienic sweat. Am I the asshole for locking our bedroom from the inside after my husband locked me in from the outside? Our bedroom has 2 locks, the regular key lock and the barrel bolt. We had an unexpected and unwelcome late night guest, which is my husband's friend. I wanted to kick him out, but my husband said he needed to speak to him for 5 minutes about something important. I told him to talk elsewhere and not inside of the house, but he kept insisting it would only be 5 minutes.
He then asked me to wait in our room, and I said no, and I was going to ask the friend to leave. But my husband ended up locking me inside our bedroom. I was angry and told him to let me out, but he said it would only be 5 minutes. Am I the asshole for locking our bedroom from the inside after my husband locked me in from the outside? I was angry and told him to let me out, but he left after telling me he would only be 5 minutes. He never came back after 5 minutes, and I was getting angrier every second. Over an hour later, I decided to go to sleep and lock the door with the barrel bolt. I fell asleep before he came back, and when he did, he was knocking and telling me to open the door. I did wake up, but I ignored him. He knows I'm a light sleeper, so in the morning we had a fight over it. He was angry since I ruined his usual routine, and he had to wait over 2 hours for me to wake up and unlock the door. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for not waking up my girlfriend, resulting in her being late for the first day of work? My 22 male girlfriend, 22 female, loves to sleep. If she's not doing something important, she sleeps. She'll nap throughout the day, and it's literally impossible to wake her up. She doesn't wake up from an alarm clock and uses me instead. I wouldn't mind, but she literally makes it such a hassle to even get her out of the bed. I have to first wake her up from her initial sleep, come back a bit later and shake her again, then finally come back, pick her up, and make her stand. This has been going on for some time now, and she's never had a real reason to urgently get up. I never mentioned having an issue, but I do show frustration.